Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, supporters of Ugandan opposition leader Bobi Wine clashed with police after he's cleared by the Electoral Commission to run in next year's elections. Wine aims to once again face incumbent Yoweri Museveni, who's ruled the country for 4 decades. Also, Ghanaians take to the streets demanding that the government makes their health more of a priority in the face of increasingly serious effects of gold mining. Levels of soil and water contaminants in parts of the country are dozens of times above the permitted maximum levels. And millions check in for a dose of inspiration from the Beninese-style icon, President Jangoud. The Beninese fashion designer's explosively original styling spanned that fine line between mad and magnificent. And Africa is here for it. We take a look. But first, Nigeria's Supreme Court will allow a musician sentenced to death for blasphemy to appeal his controversial sentence outside of the legal timeframe. Yahya Sharif Aminu was convicted in 2020 by an Islamic religious court in Kano State. Now, he was accused of blaspheming about the Prophet Muhammad. And the high-profile case has highlighted a clash between religious law and constitutional rights in Nigeria. Sharif Aminu's lawyers are hoping for a ruling that reins in Sharia law. Our Sam Olokoya breaks it all down for us.
Yahya Sharif Aminu, a musician condemned to death for circulating music deemed offensive to the Prophet Muhammad, is at the center of this landmark appeal. Sharif Aminu was convicted in 2020 by a Kano State Sharia court. A state high court later overturned the conviction, but ordered a retrial. His lawyers have approached the Supreme Court to halt a retrial, saying he cannot be tried under Sharia law because aspects of the law conflict with Nigeria's constitution as a secular state. His lawyer, Kola Alakmini, told France 24 that such aspects like capital punishment and amputation are not in line with the constitution. The prosecution, however, insists that the young musician will be executed publicly for blasphemy if he loses his appeal. The blasphemy law is the most controversial aspect of the Sharia law. Nigeria has seen several incidents of people being killed by angry Muslims on account of alleged blasphemy. The latest incident happened just 3 weeks ago when a mob burnt a woman to death. Human rights activists have questioned such mob killings in the name of Sharia law. Sharia law operates in 12 of Nigeria's mainly Muslim states. The outcome of the Supreme Court appeal may finally end the controversy of whether Sharia law, with some of its harsh provisions, can exist in a secular country like Nigeria.
Sam Olokoya there for us in Lagos. Now, Ugandan voters now have the lineup of candidates for next year's elections, and firebrand opposition leader Bobi Wine is amongst them. Wine is one of incumbent longtime leader Yoweri Museveni's fiercest critics, and was this week cleared to stand against Museveni for a second time. Now, he'd first tried in 2021, and hundreds of Wine supporters took to the streets in excitement at the idea of him going up against Museveni, who's been running the country since 1986 and will also be seeking another term next year. Our East Africa correspondent has more.
Tense atmosphere in Kampala after clashes erupted between police and protesters in the Ugandan capital, but also in other cities across the country. At the heart of the unrest is Bobi Wine, the opposition leader, musician turned politician and head of the National Unity Platform. He shared footage of the scenes on social media, while his party reported that about a dozen activists were arrested. All this came during rallies meant to celebrate the Ugandan Electoral Commission's decision to validate his candidacy in next January's vote. In Kampala's Natete neighborhood, Wine addressed a crowd of hundreds, maybe even thousands. Mostly young Ugandans gathered, despite authorities called to avoid political gatherings, officially for security reasons. In his speech, Bobi Wine urged Ugandans to stand up, as he put it, against dictator For 40 long years, one man and a small group of his relatives
and friends have ruled our country on gunpoint. They have looted our nation and turned every institution of government into a tool of oppression.
The Ugandan president, who's ruled the country for nearly 4 decades, also saw his candidacy approved. Hardly a surprise. But with the election not just 4 months away, critics accuse him of tightening his grip on power through growing authoritarianism and political repression. Bobi Wine himself has been arrested or placed under house arrest multiple times in recent years.
Juliette Montilly there for us. Now, Japan's international aid agency is cancelling a friendship exchange program with African countries after an online misinformation campaign sparked a torrent of complaints and fears of a migration spike. The Japan International Cooperation Agency announced the scrapping of the Africa Hometown Initiative after JICA was flooded by emails and calls from people who falsely believed that the scheme was a new immigration policy. The plan was designed to promote training and cultural understanding by pairing 4 Japanese cities with twin communities across Africa, and it was not linked to migration. False claims were fueled by an announcement by Nigeria, which mistakenly mentioned a special Japanese visa category, but the anxiety was also fanned by popularists, including foreigners like Elon Musk. And Ghana's gold rush has sparked an environmental and public health crisis in parts of the country. Contamination caused by mining has led to soil readings in some areas showing up to 134 times the maximum amount of permitted contaminants. Ghanaians are demanding that the government do more to deal with the damage so profound that some have dubbed it ecocide. Take a look.
In the streets of Accra, protesters are campaigning against illegal gold mining, known locally as galamsey. Mercury poisoning is on the rise, as illegal miners often use chemicals like mercury and cyanide to help extract the gold from the soil. Without regulation and proper equipment, miners slowly poison themselves as they work.
We used to suck the mercury into our mouth and throat so that we could get the gold. Eventually, all the guys working with mercury got sick. But when they got sick, we didn't think it was the mercury that brought about the illness. We thought that we'd committed a sin against the gods.
Mercury poisoning can lead to neurological disorders, respiratory and cardiovascular issues, and congenital defects. Because the symptoms can be so varied, cases are often too hard to diagnose.
The majority of these cases usually go unnoticed for a very long while. They may be in and out of hospital a number of times before they are referred to final diagnosis or the appropriate diagnosis to be done for treatment to commence.
The toxic water used during the mining process is often released back into lakes and rivers, poisoning crops, fish and drinking water, and driving mercury contamination to extreme levels in nearby communities.
It's also poison as well. And you know, a lot of people depend upon this. People downstream, thousands of people who have to depend upon this water for their livelihood. And you can see the harmful effect that it has already created.
Despite multiple government-led campaigns, galamsey is still a widespread practice. According to environmental groups, all 13 mining regions in Ghana are contaminated by toxic chemicals.
Well, a Beninese style icon is setting standards for fashionistas around the continent and beyond. President Jangoon's online videos can easily attract over 10 million views pretty quickly as fans check in on his wildly creative, award-winning, handmade outfits. Our team also took a chance to drop in for a dose of inspiration. Take a look.
President Jangoon is a young fashion designer known for his bold and unique style. He has an eye for spotting fashion materials in items most people only see as trash. The Beninese stylist rose to fame on social media by transforming everyday discarded items like sponges, cans, pipes, lemons, mud, and mattress foam. Any object is fair game for his imagination. Based in Parakou, northern Benin, every public appearance he makes turns into a lively open-air performance.
He's amazing. Another hug.
Even influencers are drawn to his charisma, including this TikToker who interrupted a shoot to start a live stream for tens of thousands of viewers.
The house is lit, no sleep here. Come on, let's share the video.
With over a decade of experience, President Jengun combines fashion with environmental responsibility. His one-of-a-kind creations, promoted through TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, have attracted thousands of followers. His latest collection features 5 unique suits made from 5,000 recycled cans.
This outfit, for example, took me about 100 cans, and I'm not even finished yet.
Every detail is carefully thought out. A shirt made of mosquito net, a hat and necklace crafted with can tabs, and a belt built from recycled iron.
Around 90% of what I'm wearing, I made myself.
In his workshop, discarded plastics, cardboard, and metals become raw materials for new costumes and accessories.
My goal is to attract buyers from around the world. So why not showcase my designs on a Fashion Week runway, for instance?
From wood to the Denkote cement bags, famous across West Africa, President Jengun turns everyday materials into creative masterpieces, showcasing how African designers are shaping a fresh narrative for fashion.
There was a moment when he was chatting to some guy on the street, and I genuinely was concerned for that gentleman's well-being and health with those spiky bottles on his jacket. But still, he genuinely slays. That, though, is all we have time for Eye on Africa. Thank you very much for joining us. Do so again if you can. Till then, take care.